number one most hated band of all time for me is Guns N' Roses.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
You can't believe that.
Here we go. Time for another episode of Cash's Top 5. And I've been pretty happy with a lot of the guests we've had so far today. I cannot believe we got this guy on the podcast. This is years in the making. We've talked about doing a show together. I've been trying to get you to do a podcast for so long. You're like, no, I'm too cool for that. Got too much stuff going on.
I thought it was a fad. That's more than any. I just thought it was a fad. I didn't want to be part of it. That's all. No offense.
It's not a fad. It's a huge branch of content now. And now we're finally getting an episode with the Nick Salemi. How's it going, man?
It's going very well. Thank you. And how are you doing today?
Doing wonderful. This feels like rehearsed Tonight Show. I'm doing great.
When anyone asks me how I am, I feel like I should ask how they are. It's just politeness.
Very proper.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling we're going to be doing, I'm hoping we do multiples of these because we've done so much trash talking and talking about movies and music and TV shows over the years. But today we've got a good one that's going to kick us off. What are we ranking today? What's our top 5?
Top 5 most hated bands that you just hate, that are popular for whatever reason, which sort of defies logic, but bands that you hate, just cannot.
Now, you wondered, should we include artists in this? Did you include an artist or do you have mostly bands?
Just bands. I wrestled with that because there are truly some artists that are legendary that Neil Young, for example, that I just cannot stand. But I went just bands only, no single artists. We can do that another time if you'd like. Spoiler alert, Neil Young will be there.
Well, he'd be near the tip top of my list as well. So maybe we can throw a couple of those in as honorable mentions at the end. I don't think there are a lot of artists that I truly hate because there's a difference. You know, there are tons of bands I just don't care for the music.
Right.
Or the singer annoys me or whatever. But to truly hate a band, I came up with more than I thought I would. But because there is some terrible music out there. So let's go ahead and get it kicked off. Our most hated bands of all time. Salemi, what do you got at number 5?
Number 5 for me, and I doubt you've ever actually listened to the band. I feel like you've heard the band, The Smiths, from the 1980s, even 90s, and Morrissey did some, like if we were doing top 5 artists I dislike, Morrissey would be in that as well, which is probably why The Smiths are also in my top 5 bands that I hate because of Morrissey, his lyrics, his demeanor, his emo type of persona. And I've tried to listen to the music. I grew up in the 1980s, so the Smiths were very popular, but cannot stand that band.
Yeah, the Smiths, I feel like every girl I knew, because I don't know any guys that listen to the Smiths. I feel like that was kind of a girl band.
Yeah.
Those were the girls that dated older guys, like older than like sophomore with a senior, like older, like a junior who's dating a guy who's up in college or even beyond that, like a little inappropriate age gap. That's always been my association with the Smiths because I don't like them either. I actually, had I thought of them, I might have put them in my top 5 of most hated because it's just sad bastard music.
Oh, and there is not a single song that you can sing along with that like none of the music is something that you want to play and be in a good mood. Or one of the songs is My Girlfriend's in a Coma. And I kid you not, you read the lyrics. It is about his girlfriend in a coma and how he's contemplating wanting to kill her in the past anyway. And if she's going to be okay, like you can't sing along with any of the music. One of the other songs that I like to diss is a song called Ask, which if you Google what are the Smiths top 10 happiest songs, Ask will come up as number 1. And when you read the lyrics, it's something that Mr. Rogers would have written. It's about how it's okay to be shy. That's what the song's about. It's okay to be shy. In fact, I think that's the first line of the song. But yeah, do not like them. And again, a lot of it is, I don't care for Morrissey. I don't care for his voice. And you can't sing along with any of those songs at all.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Number 5. My number 5 for you is pretty similar in the vein that you can't sing along with it. Now, are you going to allow me to cop out for this first one?
Is it?
Well,
go ahead.
If you don't allow me, I do have a pick for this, although hate is a little too strong. So my number 5 that I want to give you is all Screamo bands, all the Cannibal Corpse and Lamb of God and Slayer and the like that kind of metal. I hate it all. So I can pick one if you want, or I can give you the band that just didn't quite make the cut, and that's Rush.
So 2 things. One, I was so close to putting as number 5 just all boy bands.
Well, those aren't bands. Those are like dance groups that lip sync to songs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At least you're picking a band. They play instruments, not that you can discern, but they're playing instruments.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that. My second thing, though, is we'll have to have a side conversation about Rush. I'm not saying I'm a huge fan by any stretch.
That's why I didn't include them. I can't say that I hate them because they also have some redeeming songs. Like there are a few songs that I do genuinely like, but I really can't stand Geddy Lee's voice because I can't sing along with how high he gets.
Yes.
So that doesn't constitute hate in my book. But if I had to include, if you don't allow me to have the collective of all,
okay, we should. Yeah, because I feel like if nothing else, they should be called out for what they are, which is pretty much trash. The lyrics, the sound, like it is. I like how that invitation you did pretty much encapsulates all the lyrics of every one of those bands.
Yeah, it's terrible. Like the best thing about them is their names. Like there's a band named Cradle of Filth. That's the best thing about that band is they have such a dumb name that it's funny. The guy, in all the Norway death metal, black metal bands.
Yeah. Okay. Isn't there a documentary about that scene?
Oh, there's tons. The best one I've seen is Headbanger, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
There's the guy who goes around and he creates the family tree of all the different forms of metal. And he goes out and talks to like Gorgoroth. Like they give themselves these Norse names, these mononyms like Thor. There's Gorgoroth, and then there's Necro Butcher. And it's like, what are you doing, man? Like, did you get on Google and just create a generator? He did a generator for a metal name. The guy that he thought that his bandmate was becoming more evil than him, so he decided to kill him. And then they took the picture, and that was the album cover.
Like legit, he did this, or this was just his story?
No, that's like legit what happened. Like, this is kind of gross, but yeah, we can talk more off air because it's really graphic. But yeah, he killed his bandmate because he thought because there's a scale of how evil you are, and he was becoming more evil than him, so he killed him. Yeah, it's nuts. I wish I could remember the band's name, but yeah, they're from Norway.
Have you ever heard of the band Gwar? GWAR?
Yeah. Okay. They're the Kiss of that branch of metal.
Yes. Because I don't remember what Gwar stands for, but I think their thing was they came from outer space and are playing some sort of music here. And it is, it's bad. It's bad.
All right. So what do you got at number 4?
Number 4 is the Dave Matthews Band.
What? Okay, so this is where we're going to be products of our generation. Go ahead. Let's hear your spiel on Dave Matthews Band.
Okay, so I've got a couple issues with them. One, and no offense if you're a fan, but do you refer to the Dave Matthews Band as DMB? Do you ever do that? Or do you say Dave Matthews Band?
Me personally?
Yes, you personally.
I usually say Dave Matthews Band. I don't think I've ever said DMB. I've probably texted that like as a shorthand.
Well, yeah.
But have I ever said, what annoys me is, well, I don't know that it annoys me, but I do notice like the true fans refer to him as just Dave. Like, are you going to Dave this summer? I could see that really annoying you.
Yes, that would. You would never say, hey, you're going to Lead this weekend?
I would say I'm going to Zeppelin.
All right. And maybe I'm being
or Floyd. I would say I'm going to Floyd.
I don't think I'd ever say I'm going to Floyd. I would probably
okay.
I have to give you, I would probably say I'm going to Zeppelin. But that just gives you an indication of how much I hate Dave Matthews Band, because I would hold it against somebody if they said I'm going to see Dave. Okay. Whereas if someone said I'm going to see Zeppelin, I'd be like, yeah, okay.
So that aside, what makes you hate Dave Matthews Band, or DMB as we affectionately call it?
So when I hear the music or envision the band, I think of two situations. One, a bunch of frat boys tapping a keg, throwing a frisbee out on their fraternity front lawn. So that just sort of annoys me.
Okay.
Or two, that they have taken the spot of the Grateful Dead as a jam band festival type thing. And I don't think anything I've ever heard of from them, I would ever view them as a jam band. Like, I don't get it. I feel like they're very similar, and I'm sorry. And I do like this band. I think they're similar to Steve Miller Band, and that there's nothing unique about it. There's nothing cutting edge, but they get a lot of acclaim. Like I told you before, Steve Miller Band to me is just a high school band that hit it big. I would say Dave Matthews Band is a college band that just hit it big. That's all. I feel like they're one step above the Steve Miller Band. I just don't get. There's never been a time. Let me put it this way. Here's how I know I dislike them. Whenever they pop up on a song, like when I'm listening to Xfinity, or Sirius, whatever the hell it is, a song comes on, I know I move my station. So.
So, okay, first of all, we need to have, I need to get a little bell and do a little ding every time you do an old guy thing. When you're listening to Xfinity, the Comcast.
I knew it was something I had in my house.
Sirius XM turned into, I was listening to Xfinity.
Hey, Marie pays the bills. I just know that if there's a problem, I call Xfinity sometimes.
And you listen to them in the car on the radio. You are so annoying with the Dave Matthews Band hate and the Steve Miller Band hate. Now,
no, I do like Steve Miller Band, because I think they are who they are. They don't try. I don't think they're trying to be anything more than what they are, which was a high school band that hit it big, and they enjoy that. Kind of like Jimmy Buffett. I'm not a Jimmy Buffett fan, but I don't hate the dude because he embraces who he is. I think I think Dave Matthews Band has it in their head that they're something special, that they're a Grateful Dead type band, when like you're not doing anything unique, different, new, in my opinion.
Have you ever seen Dave Matthews Band live?
Well, it'd be hard to go to a concert that I wouldn't want to go to.
That's why I'm asking. I don't know if like a girl drug you to a show, or you went because the group was deciding to go.
No, the only concert I've ever been to that I'm semi ashamed of having gone to is I went to Janet Jackson.
Oh, don't be ashamed of that, man.
No, like I said, a kind of ashamed, but that was it. Never been to Dave Matthews. I've been to Grateful Dead.
I truly believe you would change your mind if you saw them live, because that's what happened to me. I was, a card-carrying member of Hate Dave Matthews Band, because it's the reason a big reason why I hate Northeast teams. I don't really hate the Eagles, but I hate Philadelphia fans. I don't hate the Jets. I hate Jets fans. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't hold the frat bro douches that love Dave Matthews Band against the band. I mean, you kind of can, but if you go see them live, I'm getting ready to tape another podcast this week, top 5 cover songs of all time.
Okay.
And on my top 5 is Dave Matthews Band cover of the Talking Heads Burning Down the House. It is phenomenal. And I'm telling you, I understand if you don't like them, if it's not your thing, you know, music is music. You either like it or you don't.
Right.
But I think if you saw them live, because when I saw them live, the instrumentation, like when they do a jam band type thing, they do a little breakdown, the saxophone comes out, and then Carter does his drum thing. It's intense, man. It's really
you know the members' names. I only know
they're
Dave.
good. You see them live, you're like, this, I get it. It opens your eyes when you see it live. You're like, oh, this is really, really good. Now, there are plenty of songs I don't like of theirs, but they have such a big catalog, and they do a lot of, like, all the albums I own are the live albums. I don't own studio stuff. The jam stuff is just really good.
So I'm assuming they have a bunch. When you say the live stuff, are these live bootlegs or are these live produced albums that they put out there?
Both.
I'm just asking.
Both. There's bootlegs, but then there's also, they have legit live albums, like Dave Matthews Band live at Red Rocks, and, you know, released. But yeah, okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's cool, man. I knew that. I had a feeling that was going to come up, and that's a product of the generation. You know, you grew up 80s kid, you know, 70s kid, 80s high school, and just mullets and testosterone and octane everywhere. You know, you don't get into D&B when you're in college and beyond.
No, but
at that age.
But like, in my defense, like I like REM. It wasn't all hard.
That's
metal.
not in your defense. I'm going to use that against you of your terrible music taste that you like REM, who could have made my list, by the way.
I'm just saying, okay, so here's the difference to me. REM, while I'm not a huge fan by any stretch, to me, and maybe I would change my mind if I saw Dave Matthews and Band, REM created new things, new sounds, new music. Dave Matthews Band, from all I've seen on the radio, is nothing more than pop music and then latching on to what Grateful Dead did. That's all I see from them.
To be fair, so that kind of feeds my argument of you kind of, not that you need to, because you're probably not, but if you were to see them live, you're not going to hear What Would You Say in Ants Marching, you know, the radio hits. You know, if you hear a deep cut where they really jam out, I think that would change. Oh God. See, that's on the list of things I don't like. Satellite and Crash, you know, the songs you would hear at a high school dance. Like, I'm not gonna, not my
See, and that's thing. To me, look, for better or for worse, that's Dave Matthews Band to me. So I'm sorry. It's like people who latched on to Metallica because they heard Nothing Else Matters, and then they bought Master of Puppets and thought, oh damn, that's not the band I bought.
Nope, sure isn't. So that's all right. I got some on my list that are gonna annoy you, I'm sure. My number 4 for you, we've talked about recently, is Radiohead. I don't get it. It's just noise. And I know you told me like the first album, Pablo Honey or whatever.
Yeah, it's good.
I've listened to a couple songs. Maybe there's some redeeming there, but it's just noise from a computer. And I can't stand Tom York's voice. Can't sing along with it. You'll notice a trend. If I can't sing along with it, I don't like it. And and that also might be a generational thing. You know, Radiohead, you know, peaked when you were probably in college and just beyond.
Oh yeah. I
was a kid.
I think I told you this when we were discussing Radiohead before. I took like 3 cassettes with me. Yes, cassettes. When I went to study in Vienna, and Radiohead's Pablo Honey is one of the cassettes I took with me.
Yeah.
So I don't know what year it came out, but that was 1993, and it was not an old album at that point. So look, and I like a number of their songs, but that is the only album of Radiohead's that I like. And I agree, like there's no way to sing along. I mean, I can't carry a tune anyway, but trying to sing along with his songs is pretty difficult.
Yeah, I even pulled them up on YouTube, And I was like, to be fair, I've only probably heard what's been on the radio and what have been the bigger hits. So I started going through all the deeper cuts and seeing if there's like a diamond in the rough. And
Right.
nope.
No.
No, it was pretty terrible. They're very consistently bad through the years, unfortunately for me.
You know who was a huge Radiohead fan? Oh my God, his name just went right out of my head. Only white boy at Warren Central at the time who drew dreadlocks. I want to say his first name was Dylan, which is really hard for me to believe I know his first name.
Was he a student?
Yeah, he was a student. He graduated with. That's right,
Dylan. Dylan Leonard.
Dylan Leonard. There we go.
Okay, yeah.
Huge Radiohead fan.
He was.
Unless I'm mistaken, I'm almost positive because he and
he liked a lot of music.
Yeah, we argued one time because he told me I should listen to more Radiohead, and I was like, well, I like Pablo Honey, but everything after that I didn't really care for that much, just some songs here and there. And he was adamant that I was wrong. So
I pulled up it was probably Leonard. I pulled up OK Computer, and nah, not good.
Yeah, I think that's the one that he liked a lot, and I tried listening to it, and I didn't really care for it as much.
So we've got the Smiths, we've got DMB, Dave Matthews Band,
or Dave,
or Dave.
Call him.
What do you got at number 3?
Number 3, and this almost cost me a friendship. That's how much I hate this band.
Wow.
One of my best friends in high school loved this band, had all their albums. Kiss. I cannot stand Kiss. I hate Kiss. And if you strip away the makeup and the stage performance that they stole basically from Alice Cooper, then what are you left with? Their music, they are such sellouts. It's not even funny. Supposedly they're a hard rock band. And in 1979, they made a disco song just to make money. Now think about that. A disco song because disco was popular. Kiss is a sellout from beginning to end. They've been nothing more than putting on a show to make money. Like when I say a show, like the paint and all that, the theatrics.
Right.
The music, the lyrics, oh my God. Basically every single song was written by a middle school kid trying to hook up with a girl. Love Gun is one of the names of their songs. Love Gun. No,
now,
I can't stand them.
There's a couple songs I do like of Kiss. I'm not a fan. I wouldn't say I hate them. I am annoyed at the marketing of it because, but I don't know. I don't think you can fault somebody for making money. Although, why would they release a disco song in '79? Isn't that when disco died? Like, did they kind of miss the boat on that?
I wish I could remember there's a movie about 3 high school kids trying to get to a Kiss concert.
Detroit Rock City, baby.
Oh, it's even named after the Kiss song.
Yeah, man. There's a good movie.
It is a funny movie. It's a good movie. But there's a line in there or something about Kiss and the disco song because it was obviously it's toward the end of disco dying, 1979, thankfully. Yeah. But I don't know, Paul Stanley, his defense for what's the name of the song? It's like something like I Was Made for Loving You, I think is what the name of the song is. And his defense was, I wanted to show people how easy it was to make a disco hit. And like, whatever, you did it to make money. Don't give me this. And Paul Stanley's another reason I don't care for his lyrics, voice, etc. Sure. And Gene Simmons, I will give Gene Simmons credit for this. He unapologetically states, I'm doing this for money and women, but I'm doing this for money.
Yeah.
So he makes no bones about it. There's no artistic value that he's putting into any of this. And if I really wanted to sort of rub some salt in the wound here and get at you, I could also mention that Kiss made an album with a symphony, but I don't want to like make fun of them for that or anything.
Hey man, you want to go there? That's fine. We can talk. We can talk symphony and Metallica if you want. I didn't think that was going to come up on our most hated bands chat, but here we are.
Yeah. I don't hate Metallica at all.
I know.
hate Kiss. And if it wasn't for Metallica making an album with a symphony, that would have made my list of why I dislike Kiss as well. Like
Sure.
they just do things, they just annoy me. And obviously they have songs that are catchy. I want to rock and what
Yeah, rock all night, party every day, whatever it is.
yeah. Now I will say this just in their defense. The one thing I do like, Detroit Rock City, the intro to Detroit Rock City, I think is pretty cool. Like
What
I
do you
do
think? Okay, there's a couple songs I really do like from Kiss. How do you feel about Lick It Up?
No.
It's a gross lyric, but it's a good song. Like that one, you want to just shout along with it, you know?
So the chorus, is that what we're talking about? Like the chorus is catchy. I mean, I'll give them credit.
Oh,
right.
Windows down, barreling down the country road at summertime. That's a good one, man.
I know it's a hit. I know it's on the album Animalize. I think it's the name of the Kiss album that it came out. But to me, it just demonstrates it's 1984, and you're just
the makeup's off.
The makeup is off.
Yeah.
But they're basically just rewriting lyrics from 1977 Love Gun. Like it's always, not always, most of their songs, again, I go back to, are kind of like middle school kids writing lyrics of trying to hook up with a girl. And I know it's rock music and there's plenty about songs like that. AC/DC has plenty of those sort of things, but at least AC/DC had some musicianship to it, some performance to it, not just so blatant Love Gun. I mean, it's just,
Dr. Love is another one I like a lot. It's just catchy.
Yeah.
Which I learned as a kid because it was in a Dr. Pepper commercial. Thank you, Gene Simmons.
Again, it's all about the money.
Yeah.
So,
okay. My number 3 for you is along the same vein of my number 4, Radiohead. A band I have no idea why they're popular. Whenever they announce a tour, I can't believe some of the venues they're playing in. How the hell are they going to sell that many tickets? Because this band is straight up trash. Smashing Pumpkins. So awful. Billy Corgan, revered as this genius, this tormented artist. Like all of my rage, I'm like a rat in a cage. That's the defining. That's the one that everybody latches onto, is this like, oh, it's like I'm listening to him read his poetry book. Get out of here. Get out of my face with that garbage. Smashing Pumpkins are terrible.
Yeah, you wouldn't even take my bootleg that I had of Smashing Pumpkins to listen to. You're like, no, I'll just give this back to you now.
It was more likely that I would have lost it or snapped it in front of you so it doesn't exist anymore. That it'd be easier to just give it back to you so you have it safe and sound.
I am nothing more than a Smashing Pumpkins radio hit. I wouldn't use the word fan.
You're a casual.
Someone who likes it. But that's as far as Smashing Pumpkins. I'm always leery of giving any lead frontman some sort of genius sort of persona for their lyrics. Like Jim Morrison is the same way.
Yeah,
gets a lot of credit for lyrics that whatever. But yeah, I can see. I don't think I put Smashing Pumpkins similar to Radiohead, and that they have some good radio hit songs and a good album, not plural, and that's kind of it. But I get, like, if you're trying to, so this kind of is the generational thing. Like, I was younger when they were starting out and they hit, so it was kind of just part of your youth or your younger years. But going back on, like, if I was growing up in the 2000s like you and listening to them, I wouldn't really find it all that attractive either. So I get that. I do.
Yeah. And especially in that generation, you know, I was a kid in the 90s and then adolescent in the 2000s. But I've always had an appreciation for music. Like I'll go back. I grew up, you know, thanks to my parents, you know, mainly my mom. My dad wasn't really a huge music guy, Jim Croce, but Led Zeppelin, Tom Petty, all that older stuff. And so I love the 90s, but I don't like the sad part of it. You know, if you watch a movie from the 90s to the 2000s, so many movies had great soundtracks because they were using music from that era. And whenever there's like a total asshole down on his luck, that's when like Smashing Pumpkins plays. And it's like, yeah, because this guy's not a redeemable character. He sucks. So we're going to play Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty true. I just, Jim Croce, by the way, that actually is a genius when it comes to writing lyrics. That guy was genius.
Amazing.
Yeah. That said, I know you've seen the movie Reality Bites, right?
It's been a long time. I watched it when I was a teenager and I haven't seen it in forever.
Do you remember the scene toward the end when Ethan Hawke his band is playing and he's covering the Violent Femmes?
Yeah.
Why can't I get just one kiss? To me, that I didn't put them in my top 5. But you take away Violent Femmes, Blister in the Sun, that album, and everything else about them is just like, what the hell? It's not. They're not good. But for some reason, some way, they hit on an album and produced what I think is quite a few good songs. But other than that, I could easily put the Violent Femmes in one of my top 5. I don't know, not hate, because I don't hate them. Overrated, I guess, would be the title.
That would be a different list, I think, if we did top 5 most overrated. A few of mine would probably still make that list, and maybe that's why the hatred is there.
I think you could say Smashing Pumpkins and Radiohead are A, overrated, and B, I get why you hate them.
And Kiss for that same measurement too.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. We've got Smiths, Dave, and Kiss. It's a hell of a playlist you've got going, man. What do you got? Number 2 most hated band of all time for Nick Salemi.
Okay, I think you'll agree with me on this one. I think. Number 2 for me, the Sex Pistols.
Okay. I honestly can't really give you much, only because the little bit that I have heard I didn't like. So I never did a deep dive into listening to a lot of their stuff. I assume I wouldn't like it.
You don't need to do a deep dive. Do you know how many albums the Sex Pistols produced? 1.
Just one?
1 album. That's it. That's all.
And you hate them that much to
yes.
One album did it for you?
Because they get so much credit for the punk scene and creating punk, and they're like the poster child for punk. And Johnny Rotten, the front man for the Sex Pistols, has no talent other than being abrasive. That's his talent, to be abrasive. Like, if you want to pay me money, I'll walk around and be a jerk all day long too. Like, what's the big deal? That's not.
That's kind of your job now.
Right. Thank you.
I'm just kidding.
No. Here's how I know the Sex Pistols suck. I could right now at my age be a contributing member to the Sex Pistols because I have no singing ability and no musical ability. And yet that's the Sex Pistols. And they get all this credit for no reason. Now, I also have a second reason why I hate them. There's a movie called Sid and Nancy. Have you ever seen Sid and Nancy? And the only thing good about that movie, do you remember who played Sid Vicious?
That's our boy. Gary Oldman can do no wrong, man.
No. And that is the redeeming thing about that movie. But I sat through that movie because a girl I really liked the Sex Pistols. So I pretended for a summer to like the Sex Pistols. And
you didn't run screaming the other way when you found a chick that liked the Sex Pistols?
She was kind of good looking. So. So no, I did not. Okay. And she was a big Guns N' Roses fan, and I know you're gonna think this is that I'm throwing out a story here, but this is true. She actually had an in with Guns N' Roses, got me, my buddy and her tickets for when Guns N' Roses opened for Aerosmith at Market Square Arena. Like, we got really good seats for free. We had to wait to the day of, and we kept sweating it, thinking, this wasn't going to happen. But
Right.
so she had that going for her. And in with Guns N' Roses, like Guns N' Roses, was good looking. So yeah, I'll pretend that I like the Sex Pistols. And
Now that
Sid and Nancy.
Now that you've completed the picture, it makes sense that
Yeah.
I would have done the exact same thing.
But it does annoy me how much credit they get. And they have one album, and Johnny Rotten is horrible. Sid Vicious is not anything special, and he gets a lot of publicity as well. I don't care for it.
Well, that was, my generation. There were some girls that, and not just girls, I don't want to bash, females. There were obviously guys too, that for whatever reason put their relationship up on some kind of iconoclastic pedestal. Like Sid and Nancy, star-crossed lovers like Romeo and Juliet. And I'm like, are you serious? Do you really think that this is a story of love and something to be revered? No, that's a whole big bucket of terrible.
Right. They were heroin addicts who fed off of one another, used each other to get a fix. And there's, like I said, it's not a redeeming story. Hell, he killed Nancy, for the love of God.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. I didn't realize Sid and Nancy. So is it sort of like an underground cult hit? Like, I thought it was pretty much a buried type movie, but it's.
No, that's a cult classic, man. That's
really.
Oh yeah.
I honestly did not know that. I've never heard anyone ever reference it, talk about it. I don't see people walking around with T-shirts, etc. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't. It's definitely not on the level of like a Rocky Horror or a Fight Club. Even that's kind of a cult classic on like a grander scale. But no, there's definitely a sect of, the people that are annoying to talk to. You can't have a conversation. Like, if anything becomes too mainstream, all of a sudden they hate it. They only like stuff you've never heard of. They're the ones that it's just in their DNA to be contrarian, to be a little different. Oh yeah, Sid and Nancy, like that's something to aspire to. Okay, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I sat through it. I think I had to watch it a couple of times, but what are you gonna do?
It's worth it. I sat through The Notebook. I sat through Nanny Diaries. I sat through a lot of stuff. The Lake House. I didn't want to see it, but I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, those are all movies that I've never seen because
you were married. You didn't have to see them.
Exactly. I didn't have to pretend. So
I was out in the game getting hurt watching those terrible movies.
So what's your two?
My two for you is the one that's going to really annoy you, that you knew was coming. You weren't sure if it was going to be number one or not. But my number two most hated band of all time is U2.
Yes, I did know that this was going to be on your list. And I, for the life of me, I cannot understand why you hate them like that.
It's a good question because I've tried to put words to it before, and it's just I just don't like the music. And so that's one thing. Like, that's not enough to hate them. Is like, I just don't like the music. There's just something about Bono and the Edge. First of all, change your name. Don't go by the Edge. First of all, that's stupid. But they hit for me. Obviously, they've been around since the early 80s.
Well, yeah, mainstream early 80s, yeah.
But then, Joshua Tree came out, then Rattle and Hum in 91, 92, whatever that was. Yeah. So they were a big deal when I was going through puberty and became an adolescent. And How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb, I think, was like 04 or something like that. So to me, they were just the poster boys of dad rock. Like, you're old and you're wearing that beanie cap and those blue sunglasses and those leather pants, like, you look ridiculous. And I don't know if Bono's a humanitarian, that's awesome. But I've just gotten such the wrong vibes. And this is where the overrated factor comes in. People are like, oh, U2, oh, this world tour, oh, you got to see it, oh, blah, blah, blah. They sold out Lucas Oil Stadium. You had to go to Lucas Oil Stadium because there are that many U2 fans. Just something about them. I hate. I like one song. I like a song and a half. I like Vertigo, which is laughable because I'm sure most U2 fans hate that song.
No, I don't hate it. But go on.
Yeah,
What's your other?
and I like Sunday Bloody Sunday, the little drum beat on the hi-hat. I can get into it, but everything else, it's just whiny Bono voice and the Edge. Just no thanks.
Okay. Now you've referenced the Edge 2 or 3 times, and I'm with you with the name, the Edge. I don't even know where that comes from. I like U2. I own albums by U2, but I'm not super fan, so I don't know why his name is the Edge. That said, do you hold it against Slash that he calls himself Slash?
No.
So but that shows how much you hate. Kind of like me and Zeppelin versus Dave. Like, you hate it because you hate it, so there's no way around it.
That's true. Although the fact that there's the honestly makes a difference. Like, if Slash went by the Slash, get out. No, not gonna let you do that. The Edge, he's known as the Edge. Like, Bono's bad enough. What's his real name? Peter something?
No idea.
Can't remember. Peter Heyman, Peter Hated, it's something like that.
Is that really his real name? I didn't know.
Or Paul, maybe it's Paul Heyman or Paul. It's something along those lines. PH, I think, is his initials. Bono is a mononym made up. Dumb, but I'm not. But the Edge, bro, no, never that. So I get what you're saying, that there is a level of that, like Slash. Yeah, that's kind of. Although to me, Slash is cooler than Edge.
Well, hell yes.
But it's the is what really bothers me.
No,
like, hi, it's nice to meet you. I'm the Edge. Ugh.
And the two of them, and I like U2, but the two of them do come across at times as a little self-righteous, a little
100%.
So,
and I won't even hold it against them when they gave everybody the album for free, and everybody was so pissed off. It didn't bother me. That's cool. Yeah. It's a marketing thing, and they're giving away their music for free, which most people are going to illegally download it anyway. Okay, like that. But then the apology video. Did you ever see the apology video to it?
No.
It's like in the round, like the 4 of them, or however many people are in U2, are kind of seated. They're seated around a box or something, and the camera is like doing a pan around. He's like, and it's Bono like, oh, sorry, I didn't realize this was so bad. You know, a dash of megalomania, a hint of marketing, a splash of love. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah, go watch that. Yeah, watch that apology video and tell me if you're still a U2 fan. You want to punch him right in the face.
Okay, but because I hate Axl Rose. He ruined one of my favorite bands. I hate Axl, but I still love Guns N' Roses.
That's fair.
So I'm not saying I'm not super U2 fan. I am a U2 fan in that I own albums of theirs, but I don't know much of anything else. And I had no idea about the apology video, but that would make my skin crawl. A dash, a hint. Like, come on, dude.
I'll send you the link to it. The link to it. You will roll your eyes and laugh at it.
So the last album you referred to, How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb, that's the last album of theirs that I bought, and it's really the last bit of music of theirs, new music of theirs, that I care for. The album that came out after The Fly, I think that's the name of the album, The Fly. I don't remember what it's called, but it had a song on there called Lemon, and that album I didn't really care for either. But a lot of their 80s stuff, Rattle and Hum, obviously, The Fly, I like those albums. Like, the majority of the music on those albums I do like. But I don't know, like, even if I was your age growing up looking back at U2, I still think I'd be a U2 fan. Like, I get the Smashing Pumpkins and Radiohead dislike, generationally speaking, but I think U2, I've told you before, like, part of why I like U2 is they do recreate themselves. Like, the music is different from one album to the next. It's not all the same.
That might be part of the problem, because I don't necessarily always want that, like, part of the reasons I think you like AC/DC, I could be wrong, and I feel like AC/DC is probably one of your favorite bands. They're
Yes.
not reinventing them. I mean, when you hear a song within the first 3 seconds, you know it's AC/DC, and it's about
Yeah.
halfway through before you can tell what song it is, because you're like, what? Which one is this? Because they all
Yeah.
have kind of that similar sound. Even like you can tell Bon Scott, Brian Johnson right away, but still.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
But then again, Metallica, they've reinvented themselves. You know, they came out with Load. You know, they did the more bluesy rock, and then they did an incredible album with a symphony that I thought was really good. They've taken chances here and there that I like. So yeah, I guess I kind of see both sides.
Hey,
I just, if you don't like the root of it, like if you don't like peaches, it doesn't matter if it's cobbler or pie or ice cream or candy flavor. Like if you don't like peach, you're not gonna like anything. And I guess I just don't like U2. So anytime they come out with something, I'm like, nah, pass.
Well, I'll tell you one story that I think you'll find redeeming. My little sister is a huge U2 fan, super fan. About 5 years ago, her and her husband flew to Ireland for a weekend to see them perform. She's again, super fan. So back in the day.
This is Pee-wee's mom?
No, that's my niece. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's my older sister. My little sister's Teresa.
Oh, okay. I got you.
She has kids the same age as Enzio and Bella. Okay. Or Bella, my fault. So back when she was in high school, she went to see U2 at the Hoosier Dome. And the opening band was Los Lobos. No kidding. Riding high on their La Bamba fame.
Underrated band. They have some good stuff.
So the opening band Los Lobos, for whatever reason, was a half hour late. Like my little sister, nobody knows why the opening band isn't playing, but they're not playing. So there's a PA announcement. Los Lobos is not going to be here tonight. They had difficulty arriving, I don't know, airplane, bus, whatever. They had difficulties. However, we are going to have an opening act. They named whatever the band is, some country western act out of Texas. They come out and they're playing these country western songs. And it's not till about the second, third song that my little sister and everybody else begins to realize that the band playing is U2 dressed up country western style, playing country western songs.
Really?
You at least got to give them credit for respecting their fans enough to go out and do something to placate them. Now, they could have just gone out and played a longer U2 show as well. That's beside the point. They did something. Like there is respect to the fans.
That is really, really cool. I love that.
That was when my little sister, when Teresa came home, she was so head over heels about that entire event and how cool it was and blah, blah, blah.
It's even better. You know what? That's better than them doing a long U2 set. Like having that story and them trying something out is really great. You know, I know you're a huge country music fan.
Yes.
I know you own all of Dirk Bentley's albums.
Absolutely. Going to him this summer.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. He'll be at Deer Creek. He didn't really tell anybody, but his opening act is always Hot Country Nights. And it's him and his band dressed up in like real 90s terrible costumes and wigs and mustaches. And now it's become a thing where people kind of expect it and they know it's him. But the first times they started doing it, you didn't know it was them. Like they were that well.
That's cool.
Like they did the whole, and I was there with the radio station. So we're down a little close. We had some nice, seats, whatever. I'm like, I swear to God, that's Dirk's right there. Like that's him. And then when people start to figure it out, they start to go nuts. Yeah. I think that's really cool. I didn't know U2 did that. And they go up in you know what? Smashing Pumpkins, you're now number 2. And U2 is number 3. I don't hate him as much. Smashing Pumpkins, Billy Corgan would never.
No.
Never would do that.
I agree. I'm glad I served some purpose in all of this today. That's awesome.
All right, man. We've reached the pinnacle, the top. We've got the Smiths, Dave Matthews Band, Kiss, the Sex Pistols. I really can't think of what number 1 is. I have a guess. Are they from the 80s?
They are from the 80s.
Okay. Who's your number 1 most hated band of all time?
my number one most hated, and there'll be people who watch this who will never have heard of the band and think, why did he pick them? Because that's how much I hate them. It doesn't matter to me that they never made it big time. They made it semi big time. They had hits and videos and whatnot. But I hate Winger.
Okay, I was right.
No band exists that I dislike as much as Winger.
Why?
And just, I wanted to reinforce my own beliefs on this. So I Googled Winger sucks. And then hit enter, just to see what it was out there.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that Winger was a running joke on Beavis and Butthead. That I never watched Beavis and Butthead. Have you ever?
I watched
Okay.
the movie, but I never saw the show.
So I guess they have some loser friend on the show. How you could distinguish them from Beavis and Butthead, I don't know. But they had a loser friend who always wore a Winger t-shirt. And that was part of the running joke, is this loser listens to Winger. I hate Winger. Everything about them. Their songs are ridiculous. The preening of the lead singer, and I'm from the 80s when Motley Crue wore a ton of makeup. Like I'm used to frontmen preening in front of the camera, but he was so over the top ridiculous. And the songs 17, Madeline, there was a Heartbreak song as well. Like I just cannot stand Winger. And there was a girl if there was one.
Do you remember telling me this?
Huh?
Do you remember telling me this story? You were so ashamed. So ashamed.
Yes. That's how much I liked her. But even that, like I bought tickets. I think I took, maybe I didn't tell you this part. I bought tickets. It was Cinderella, Winger, and Bullet Boys. I don't care about Bullet Boys. You know how I feel about Winger, but I did want to see Cinderella.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Right. This will be a win-win. She really likes Winger. I hate Winger, but I get to see Cinderella. Plus, I look like a good guy buying these tickets to go out to Deer Creek, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I bought the tickets. I never went to the concert. I just couldn't do it. I just told her, I was like, you just take a friend. Which in retrospect, like she thought I was even nicer because I'm like, yeah, here's the tickets. Go ahead and take a friend. I don't want to go. I just could not. Because in the back of my mind, I thought I'm going to have to sit through, 40 minutes of Bullet Boys, which I didn't want to do. And then another 40 minutes of Winger to get to Cinderella. And I want to get to Cinderella. And I wanted to go out with this girl. I just couldn't bring myself to sit through Winger, though.
So if the headliner had been bigger, would you have sat through Winger? Like if it had been Van Halen or Guns N' Roses?
If it had been Guns N' Roses or Metallica, I would have done it. I wouldn't have done it for Van Halen at that time because it was Sammy Hagar Van Halen, not David Lee Roth Van Halen. So I would not have sat through it. So yeah, it had to be bigger. Or my love for this girl had to be bigger. One of these. But I just
wasn't happening that day. No.
Yeah. And here, I will win you over. You might change your number one when I tell you this. Kip Winger dissed Metallica numerous times. He once said that Metallica was incapable of playing Winger music. Like they didn't have the skills to play Winger songs, but Winger could play Metallica songs with their hands tied behind their back, which that doesn't even make sense. Your hands are tied behind your back, but you're playing music.
Right.
And if you look at Nothing Else Matters, that video, you would not have noticed this because you don't hate Winger like I do. But halfway through that video, Lars is pulling darts out of a dartboard, and on that dartboard is a poster of Kip Winger.
That's from, so have you seen the documentary, A Year and a Half in the Life of?
No, I have not.
So there's a documentary.
Documentary?
Yeah, it's about making the Black Album. How have you never seen this documentary?
I don't know. Because I like the Black Album. You know that.
It's on YouTube for free. You need to watch it. It's really, really good.
Okay.
They kind of put clips of their performances throughout, like them performing this and then them performing that. Anyway, it's a year and a half in the life of is what the title of the album is, or the title of the documentary. And in the studio, they have a dartboard with Kip Winger's picture on it, and they're throwing darts at it. Like
Yes.
that clip is from that documentary.
Okay.
And he was so upset about it. Like he raised a huge stink about them throwing darts. Like I
Oh,
don't even
Winger
remember.
did?
Yeah. Like Kip Winger was so upset about them. And because it's very noticeable, like them
Oh
throwing
yeah.
darts and then pulling out. It's so funny.
See, I didn't know if you recognized who Kip, because to me they never really hit big. They were
No.
mainstream, they were popular, but I don't think they're enduring by any stretch.
Any endurance that they would have had would have been being made fun of. Like
Yeah.
they're the punchline from that decade of a lot of punchlines, to choose from. I mean, you had Dokken, you had Warrant, you had Rat, Cinderella, all those singular name bands.
Yeah.
They all kind of get lumped in together, even though some of them are very different from the others. But Winger was, that's the joke, man.
Yeah. Well, when we do honorable mentions, we'll go back to what you just referenced. But yeah, Winger was always it for me, man. Hated them.
Well, my number one for you, I had screamo bands, all the terrible Radiohead, U2 at number 3, Smashing Pumpkins at number 2. I'm making that flip on the fly.
Thank you.
Number one most hated band of all time for me is Guns N' Roses.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
You can't believe that.
I'm joking, man.
I thought you were going to do that just to stick it to me, and I was going to argue this about them.
No.
All right.
My number one most hated band really is Train.
Oh, yeah.
Can't do it, man. Drops of Jupiter, Meet Virginia, that late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Awful. Awful.
It's generic music.
Yeah.
There's it's produced in a studio in which they know how to create a radio hit, something that is catchy, but there's nothing to it at all. It's just, yeah, I agree 100%. They're not on my top 5, obviously.
No.
Partly because I didn't grow up with them. Like they would never have been on my radar. I knew of them. I knew they were on the top 40, but I paid no attention to them. So there was no reason for me to hate them.
Well, when I was like between the ages of 8 and 11, somewhere in there, so like late 90s through 2000, 2001,
right.
My dad was a maintenance man for residential complexes. So he would go and he was Mr. Fix-It. And so sometimes he would be on call. And sometimes during the summer, when I was in summer school, I would go to work with him for a few hours just to, hang out, whatever. And so I spent a ton of time in the truck with him, and we listened to top 40 ZPL, radio here in Indy. And it was so good. You had No Doubt with Don't Speak. You had the Goo Goo Dolls, Matchbox 20, Smash Mouth, which was good for a kid. Like I enjoyed it when I was younger. And then you had like the boy band stuff, the Britney Spears, the Backstreet Boys, whatever. And I liked it all the one-hit wonders, Edwin McCain, I'll Be, Sonny Came Home, Paula Cole, all that stuff. Torn, Natalie Imbruglia, Torn, Fastball's the Way. I mean, late 90s, top 40 was so damn good. And then Train came along, and they dropped Meet Virginia, and they dropped Drops of Jupiter, and it made me want to strangle everyone who loved that band. I hate those songs so much. And I feel bad because they're very nice guys. I ended up meeting them through a radio thing. Sorry.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, they gave us wine. They produced their own wine, Train label.
Well, make sure you send this video to them.
I can't wait to send it to them. Like, Pat, sorry, dude. Hate your music, hate your band.
Love your wine.
Love your wine. Actually, I didn't. It tastes like tree bark, that dry wine. Which is on me. That's not on them. If it doesn't taste like high C juice, I don't like wine. So that's on me, not on them. But the music is on them. Hated it.
Yeah, Drops of Jupiter. I definitely understand. It's sticky, sweet, bubblegum type pop music. There's just nothing to it. So, and I do like one hit wonders. Like when you're going through that list, and I do feel like the late 90s was the pinnacle of one hit wonder artists and bands, just people who hit on a song and then
Duncan Sheik, Barely Breathing, Savage Garden, like a lot of good stuff. And those are pretty produced in a studio, you know, made for radio type hits, but there was just something about Train. Ugh.
I will not try to argue you out of that at all.
I didn't think you would. I figured you'd try to talk me out of Guns N' Roses though. What?
Dude, we would have fought about Guns N' Roses.
I'm a big Guns N' Roses fan. Don't like Axl. Wish they had more music actually. But so what didn't quite make the list for you?
Dokken, I was thinking of putting.
Is that one? List. Okay, I was wondering.
Yes. Oh, and so obviously I grew up in what I think is the heyday of heavy metal and hair bands. Obviously hair, but I think heavy metal too to a certain degree. I've never met anyone in my life who's ever said they're a Dokken fan, and yet they endured for years and years and years and albums, and all of their songs. In my mind, whenever I hear it, I feel like I should be playing Dungeons and Dragons. Like it's just, I don't get Dokken at all.
Well, they all at least have one hit, right? Like Rat has Round and Round.
Oh yeah.
Cinderella has the ballad, Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone. You know, they all, Warrant had Cherry Pie, obviously. Did Dokken have the hit, the one? I don't think they did, right?
No, gun to my head, I couldn't tell you a Dokken song, like the name of it.
Right.
I mean, I could not. And I like Rat Out of the Cellar because like when Rat first hit, there wasn't much out there like Rat on the radio at all. So Rat Out of the Cellar, I like a lot. Now, by the time they were doing Way Cool Jr., I had kind of moved on from Rat. But I almost put Bullet Boys or Warrant on my list. But the thing is, I don't hate them enough because they were so here today, gone tomorrow type of.
Right.
And I never took them seriously anyway, especially Warrant. The Warrant had more hits than Bullet Boys, unfortunately. And I despised Cherry Pie. I don't know. I couldn't stand that band. I looked at them and I thought I could beat all you guys up. So I don't really, they all came across. I did not like them at all. How about you, honorable mention style?
I don't think I really had any honorable mentions for bands. You know, like I said, I had Rush, but even then I don't hate them. You know,
I don't get them either.
Yeah, and we're getting into just overrated territory. Like, I don't hate the Beatles. You know, the Beatles are good. Yeah. I think they're overrated, but I don't hate them. So it would probably need to go into like artist territory, like Bob Dylan, Neil Young.
Yes.
So it's like singular artists I can't stand. But as far as bands, to hate them, that's pretty much what I got. Even like the bad ones, you know, like the typically most hated bands like Nickelback or Limp Bizkit or Creed. Like, I don't necessarily like them. Like, I might hate Creed, but Nickelback had good stuff. Like,
I
didn't understand I've never understood the hatred for him.
Yeah, I almost feel like it's a pop culture thing. Like, it's people like to diss on Nickelback because it's just something that's pop culture. Like, I don't get where all that hate comes from either.
Yeah, it's just cliche. It's easy to just go along with the herd. So
and
I would say Creed would probably be my number 6 if I had to think. With arms wide open.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I don't care for Limp Bizkit. I don't even think of them because, again,
they had some fun. Well, and that hit at the right time. I was in 5th grade.
Right.
Rolling. What? Like, it was cool, man. Like, it was dumb, and I don't listen to it now. But when you're a kid, you don't hate it. Like, if I were 20, if I were in college or older when that stuff came out, I would hate it for sure.
Right.
But I was just a kid listening to the radio, you know.
Just to clarify, when you say you dislike Bob Dylan, and I'm on that train, no pun intended. you at least like Rainy Day Woman, like a Rolling Stone? Like, do you like some of his hits, or you just don't?
I like one song.
Those songs.
I like one song from Bob Dylan,
which is
The Hurricane.
I don't even know if I know that one.
It's basically tells the story of Reuben Carter, the boxer, the Hurricane.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's like 7 or 8 minutes long. It's a longer song. When he sings like this, I can't get into it. Like, it's just not good. Yeah. All of his songs are better as covers. Like the first time I heard All Along the Watchtower, like again, I'm getting ready to do a podcast on my favorite cover songs.
Right.
Hendrix's All Along the Watchtower, I can listen to that
better
every day.
Yeah.
But his version of a lot of his stuff that went on to be hits from other people because they redid it, I don't know, man.
You know who else covered Along the Watchtower? U2.
Dave Matthews Band.
Oh.
Yeah, they did.
I tell you what, you listen to U2's version, I'll listen to Dave's version, and I'll get back to you.
All right. I don't want to listen to it, but I will. If you listen to Dave, I'll listen to U2.
Yeah, that'll be your homework.
All right.
All right.
Well, we're about ready to wrap up here. Is there anything you'd like to plug? Any podcasts coming up for you? Any tour dates? Any social media you'd like to hit?
Well, people already know where to find me on Black Twitter, so I don't even need to say about that. And if I'm not there, then everyone knows I'm in A110. You can always find me there.
Uh-huh.
I was asked, and I wasn't sure, will I be able to download this and put this on my MySpace page, or will that work?
So when you go to YouTube, you just embed the code and you paste it right into your MySpace profile. It'll pop up.
Because I'm really hoping this will up my viewership. So,
it will.
Right now it's basically me and Justin Timberlake. There's not a whole lot of other people on there. So I'm hoping this will help out.
I can't believe NSYNC didn't make your top 5, man.
It's
not fair.
If I was going to do that, I had to do boy bands. And I don't view them as a band. Like, no one's playing an instrument. Like you said, they're just dancing and singing. So I left out, like, I self-monitored some of what I was going to do. And I just wasn't going to put a band in it that plays no music.
I got you. All right, dude. Well, this was a lot of fun. I appreciate you taking the time to do it. Hopefully we'll do another one. This is definitely the most arguing I've ever done on an episode. I kind of thought that'd be the case. So we'll talk to you soon, man.
All right. Take care.